Hey, this is Web Junior 1977 here, back in the Oasis once again, of course, and kind of doing like a what was your first game console kind of deal. If you're an old fart like me, it's probably gonna be something like this right here, the old Woody Atari. Shirt on right here, representing. But anyway, see if we can get some people in here, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to plug this in, of course. And of course, as always, hey, Game Dungeon Productions. What's up, brother? One thing I was going to say is that, well, there's Game Dungeon Productions, obviously. Does retro game streams. Gonna be getting back into that very soon. Might do a different type of setup this time, but we'll see how it goes. But, did you drop your Game Gear like that? Which one did you start off with, Jesse? Did you start off with the 4 switch or the 6 switch? I to this day can't remember which one I actually started off with. I can't remember which one it was. I got the 4 switch here. I got the 6 switch down there on the bottom. You can see right there, 6 switch Woody, and then I got the 4 switch, the black one back here in the back. As everybody knows, I got quite a bit of Ataris. Kind of have a soft spot for Ataris just because that was my first console as well. But hey Steph, how you doing? Appreciate you stopping in. Hey, how's it going? Edwin Video Games, how's it going? Appreciate you stopping in as well. What was your favorite console? What was your first console? But I remember not only was the Atari my first console, but I know I've said this story before, but I still remember being excited about going to pick up the latest game that was coming out. It came out, I don't know if it came out that day or if it was just in that week that it came out, but Jungle Hunt for the Atari 2600. Yeah, Jungle Hunt. I remember getting this game brand new in the box. Can't remember how much it was, but I know it was expensive. I started off with... Yeah, I can't remember. NES, cool, hell yeah. Got the NES right there. That's the obviously the OG NES, and then of course later on they come out with the top loader NES. I do like this top loader NES, but I think I prefer the original NES because, as a lot of people know, that this in here only has RF. I've seen people mod these, and I'm pretty sure, I'm not pretty sure, I know for a fact that I'm not going to mod mine just because it was meant to have just RF, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to, you know what I mean? I'm not going to sell it and, or anything, but at the same time, I don't want to modify something that's meant to be like that, you know what I mean? It's just... Oh yeah, cool. Nothing wrong with that. Those are pretty awesome. Yeah, I can't remember if it was a 6 switch or if it was a 4 switch. to be honest, I don't know if I can even remember which one. I can't remember. I think the 4 Switch came out first, I believe. So I'm thinking it was probably the 4 Switch that we had when we was younger. But still trying to get a hold of a 5200. I didn't really. I don't really have any interest really in getting a 7800. I mean, if I find it like cheap or something, maybe. But I've always wanted to get a 5200 because I remember having a 5200 console, but there was something I didn't have with it. I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it was the power cord or the AV cable or what it was, but I remember having a 5200, and I'm pretty sure I had a controller for it as well. But I didn't have any game. I might even had a game, but I don't think I had a game either. But I had the console, and I'm like, I need to get, was thinking about getting the power cord or something. I can't remember what I didn't have for it, but I wasn't able to play it, so I've never actually played a 5200, which is kind of sad because that's kind of what I've been looking for a while now. And there's plenty of them. They're just expensive, you know what I mean? And it's funny because I shop a lot on Facebook Marketplace, and there's either one of two things happen on Facebook Marketplace when you're looking. Either A, they're expensive and close, or B, they're cheap and far away. So they kind of even themselves out, because it's just, if it's closed, then you're going to be expensive. So you're still going to, even though it's closed, you're going to pay a good price for it. But if it's far away and cheap, then you're going to have to pay gas money to get there and back. And by the time you do that, it'd be just as expensive as an expensive one. So kind of sucks. But one of these days, I'll get my hands on a 5200. But until then, part of the excitement though is looking, though, you know what I mean? But eventually you want to find one, and Master System, which I probably could have bought already if I didn't spend my money on stupid crap sometimes, but because a somewhat local Cartridges Galore has it for like $80, I believe it is, which isn't a bad price, I don't think. I never really remember how much they're going for on eBay and stuff like that, but I don't think $80 is that bad for it. But it's like you save up money for something and then you end up buying something else, like, you know what I mean, sometimes. But I did save up and get a Sega CD back though, so that's pretty awesome. Glad to have that back in my collection. But yeah, I think my favorite game for the Atari though is definitely Adventure. But I remember being excited to go get Jungle Hunt, and I know it was something crazy. I know it was some crazy amount of money back then for it. $50 probably. It was, I don't know, but I know it was pretty expensive, but I didn't pay, for it. But hey, Lady Scooby-Doo, how you doing? Appreciate you stopping in. Do you recall what your favorite? Yeah, your favorite. I keep saying favorite, but do you recall what your first console was? Let me see something here. That's good to hear. Appreciate you stopping in here and taking the time to check out the stream. Sega Genesis. Cool. I remember Sega Genesis. Oh, I mean, obviously I remember Sega Genesis, but I actually have all three versions of the Sega Genesis, which is pretty cool. What is your favorite game for the Genesis, do you think? My favorite game for the Genesis is probably Golden Axe. I've always loved Golden Axe. I actually started out playing Golden Axe for the arcade, but then they had it for, I don't know which one came out first exactly, but I played it a ton on the Sonic. Cool. I played it a ton on the Genesis version of it, obviously, but got my little third generation Genesis over there. That's the one I use when I do like actual hardware streams, you know what I mean? What I'm going to use, but I also have the second generation. I actually have two second generation one because I had the one in the box up there. And I have the one hooked to the Sega CD. But yeah, there's a little. It's a little. I don't know if you've ever seen the third generation, but the third generation's tiny. Like here. I don't have very big hands, and I could probably palm it. Yeah. But yeah, that's how big the you can see how big the cartridge slot is compared to the console. It's pretty funny. I actually had this just given to me. The guy's like, "Oh, you can just have that." He said, "I don't know if it works or not, but you can just have it." Went out and I got the power cord for it, and I believe the power cord's the same cord, if I'm not mistaken. And even the AV cable, I think, is the same from the first one. But it works. It works good, actually. But that's the smallest version of it, obviously. And this is the smallest version of the Super Nintendo, which is pretty cool. It's not quite as small as that Genesis, but it's pretty small. Yeah, you did. Yeah, oh yeah, Sonic games. I love Sonic games as well, for sure. But I think my favorite one was Sonic 2, just because it had Tails following you around. I thought it was pretty neat. But here's the gotta dust this again. Here's the OG. Here's the OG Genesis, obviously. The very first original. So yeah. Old Mamma Jamma. And then of course the second generation's over here. On the Sega CD, and then obviously I have a boxed one up there. Which I don't have to ever worry about getting out of the box, along with the Super Nintendo. I'm not that type of collector, but it's just nice being able to play on original hardware without having to get into boxes and behind everything. And you had the OG, hell yeah. But yeah, the one that's on this Sega CD is kind of I mean, it's a little worse for wear, but it works. So I mean, that's all you can ask for, right? But I think the original was the coolest looking one by far, just because it actually, you know, I mean, you could tell that was the one that had the most thought process behind it. You know, how they was going to make it look. It had a volume control. Has a volume control, has a headphone jack, which is pretty neat. They obviously dropped all that when they went with the second model. Second model looks alright. All the models look alright, but I think the first gen looks the coolest just because, maybe just because it's the original. I don't know. But a lot of people, I was just thinking of this, a lot of people think that the Sega Genesis and the original Nintendo were what was competing against each other. A lot of people don't even know about the Master System. That was actually around when the regular Nintendo was around. It was competitive with the regular Nintendo. A lot of people forget all about that console altogether, but which is another reason why I've never owned the Master System, so between that and just showing it on stream and playing it obviously, but showing it on stream and they're like a lot of people haven't seen it yet, so I mean, a lot of people have, obviously, but a lot of people forget about that. When a lot of people I talk to in chats and stuff on Facebook and stuff, they don't even remember the Master System as being a console. They think that the Sega Genesis was the first Sega console, which it is. I understand it. I will get that, because I will understand that, just because. In their defense on that, it's Genesis. Like, what does Genesis mean? First, right? Well, it wasn't the first. It wasn't the first Sega. You know what I mean? It certainly, definitely wasn't the first console, obviously, because there's plenty of consoles before that. But it wasn't even the first Sega console. It was the second Sega console. Probably more than that, actually. Just because I probably don't even remember all the consoles, but the Master System came before that, so it's like, it surely wasn't the genesis of the group, because Genesis means first, so I don't get it, but whatever. I don't get why they name a lot of things, certain things, but I'm sure that some of you won't even have never seen one of these. This is an old Odyssey 200 Magnavox. It's the console and the controls on the console all in one, which is kind of strange, but yeah. Kind of strange. I've never plugged this in to even see if the thing works, but yeah. It looks pretty neat. It's a good conversation piece, and it was free, so I mean, can't beat that. So this right here is obviously older than the Genesis. Again, obviously Genesis not being the first, Just showing you a couple of them couple consoles that you don't normally see, just because they're down in front of here, and you just don't see them because they're not out here where you can see them. I also have the there's the Intellivision. Don't really have a spot to display that, obviously. Obviously this is older than the Genesis, you know what I mean? So there's quite a bit of them older than the Genesis. The cartridge slot right there. Kind of looks like a Atari. It basically can play Atari games, because I'm pretty sure this is basically an Atari game, but I mean, it basically looks like an Atari game, but I can't remember if this works in the Ataris or not. Maybe it doesn't. Let me look at the Atari, but no, it doesn't. Okay. Because there's the Atari, and then there's the Intellivision, much bigger as far as the board goes, at least. That's a little taller, not quite as wide. So yeah, they are different. But it just reminds you of an Atari game. Like if someone would see this out in the wild and not know what they're looking at. Especially, it's even more confusing because it says by Sega. So that makes it even more confusing, right? But a lot of people wouldn't even realize that Sega was in business I don't think they had a console out when this was out, but maybe the Master System. I don't know if the Master System's quite that old, but I doubt it. Yeah, you would think it's an Atari game if you look at it, but then if you look at an actual Atari game, you can I mean, it still kind of looks similar to it, but the biggest thing is the Atari. There's the label up, if you've noticed. Boom, there's the contacts. Here's the television underneath is the contacts, and they're quite a bit longer. But yeah, I mean, it looks like a frickin' Atari game. It just does. Even though they're not the same. I'll put this back in here. I was keeping this in. Sticks out quite far from the console. But everybody knows the gimmick on that. The controllers are there. They did that quite a bit actually over the years. I also have the ColecoVision that did the same thing. I believe the ColecoVision is newer than this console, but I could be wrong about that. I believe it was. I think it came out after this console. But yeah, there's a lot of different things, and 9 times out of 10, when if you see somebody coming on YouTube or something and say, "Yo, I got all the consoles," they probably don't, because there's consoles that they probably never even heard of. There's consoles I've never heard of, I'm sure. So for anybody that claims to have all the consoles, I don't think anyone has all the consoles. Maybe somewhere, I don't know, but they'd have to have one hell of a space. That's all I can say, to have all the consoles. But I'm not saying it's not possible, but 9 times out of 10, it's just not so. What was that comment? I know it was probably Steph that made the comment. Sorry, I didn't. 1 second. Check out something here. Favorite game was Adventure on Atari, and no, it wasn't Burger Time. I get you there. I know there's a lot I didn't know about, and a few I knew. Yeah, oh yeah, there's a lot of consoles. Like, anybody that tells you they have them all or knows the name of all of them are probably just jiving. And the reason I use jiving is because I just got done watching Sanford and Son, and they use that word a lot on there. I love that show. But yeah, but there's quite a bit of consoles, and first of all, to have enough room to display all those consoles is one thing, or to have room to put them is one thing, and another one's to find them and be able to afford them. That's a whole different ball game altogether. To know them, first of all, to know them all, and to have the money to buy them all is, yeah. Just craziness. Now, granted, I'll give you that there's people that have a lot more consoles than I do, like Game Dungeon Productions, per se, or, Game Dungeon Productions, he has a lot of stuff. Doesn't have everything, but he doesn't claim to have everything either. So, but he's got a lot of stuff. If you like watching games and stuff and checking out different game consoles, he's definitely he's on Twitch right now. So on YouTube, he's on Twitch. He does have a lot of stuff on YouTube still, old stuff. But yeah, I saw, I don't know if you saw this yet, Steph, but I saw that they now are coming out with a new Atari 2600. I don't know if you saw that or not. And it looks just like it's a 4-switch, I believe. I think it's the 4-switch. But it's HDMI out. I would love to have that thing. That would be awesome. But, I don't know. It's a bit smaller than the originals, but that would be so cool to have that to put on like an HD TV and stream that stuff. It could play most of the old titles, and then it has new titles. They're actually coming out with brand new titles for the Atari 2600. I don't know. I'd also be interested to see if one of the new titles plays in the old console. That would be something to see, because obviously they have to have the same contacts, right? Hell yeah, for sure. But they're definitely they're coming out with a new Atari 2600, which is pretty awesome. I'd send you links to that stuff so you can check it out. It looks pretty neat. But they're coming out with a lot of the stuff they're coming out with is, yeah, it's backwards compatible. I think they said that there's like, I guess they're trying old titles in it, and they've so far only found 6 titles that don't work. Something like that. So that's pretty damn good, honestly. Because I think the Xbox, which is, a lot of people talk shit about Xbox, but I'm pretty sure the Xbox is the best backwards compatible right now. I can't think of any that's better, because you can get an Xbox Series X, which I don't have. That's the one I need. You can put original Xbox games in it and play them. But there is a decent selection, a decent number of them that won't work, like 16 maybe or something. But still, it's good, but yeah, only 6 that they know of. And I'm putting money down on it that it's like certain titles, like Coleco titles, like Donkey Kong, for instance, could be one. You can see that. You can actually see that right back here in my Coleco Gemini. That's another console. I'll have to show you that. I'll have to show you that. For somebody that hasn't saw that, that's a pretty wild console as well. If I can unbury it here for a second. Pretty sure this is a 5200 controller right here. All needs a console. Anyway, stay there, Mario. Alright, so now I'm talking to a piece of wood. An inanimate object. How many were there? I know a lot, but because you had like a big case full. Oh, you talking about Atari 2600 games? Huh. There was quite a bit of Atari 2600 games. Sorry for 1 second. Shit. Anywho, let me catch up here. Wow, 6 games. How many? Okay. How many were there? I'd say at least 520 or something. At least over 500 titles, I'd imagine. Let me look that up, actually. Real quick here. Alright. 521 titles. Yeah. Sure, my camera's not going to focus on that, but yeah. 521 titles. Yeah. So, yeah. To only so far have 6 that doesn't work, that's pretty good. But anyway, what I was gonna say is the new games that come out with it. I think it just comes with 1 cartridge, but it has 4 games on it, and it has like little switches on it that you put in certain numerical order, and to play a certain game off that cartridge, which is pretty awesome. Pretty awesome idea. What's this? But yeah, 521 titles, that was quite a bit. That was more than I thought it was going to be. I knew there was quite a bit, but I figured it'd at least be 500 titles, or close to 500, but 521. But they're coming out with more, they're coming out with new titles, which is pretty awesome. Let me show you a cartridge in this black Atari over here. A lot of people call it the Darth Vader edition. It's not really a Darth Vader edition. It's just black. So, you know. So guess what this one is? Of course I have Ghostbusters for the Atari 2600. I'm probably going to be showing a lot of well, not probably. I'm definitely going to be showing a lot of Atari 2600 stuff because that was my first console. So, but anyway, before I kind of got off topic a little bit. This is the Coleco Gemini, and a lot of people probably haven't saw this before. This is a game console that's not necessarily well known, but has all your switches here. It has on-off switch, color, black. Has game select and reset here. And then of course, go around here, it has your RF adapter and your power. This is your channel 2, channel 3 selector. And then if you look at the controllers, you got obviously these 2 switches are your just like the Atari, they have like difficulty switches. And if you look at the controller port, what's it look like to you? Looks like the Atari 2600, doesn't it? Because it's actually, you can actually play Atari 2600 games in it. That's what it plays, Atari 2600 games. There is no Coleco Gemini games. They're Atari games, essentially. But the funny thing about it is we got, this is really going to blow your mind just because, okay, so we have Donkey Kong, right? And of course Donkey Kong was made by Nintendo, right? But it's a Coleco branded game. So we got Atari 2600 cartridge with a game from Nintendo, and it's a Coleco branded game. So so Coleco decided, oh, we're gonna make our own Atari 2600 clone console, basically, and so it can play our Coleco branded Atari 2600 games. Obviously, they have the ColecoVision as well, but that's completely a different. It looks sort of like the Atari 2600 games, but they're different. So, but yeah. But what's funny, kind of funny, I guess, Nintendo, or not Nintendo, Atari tried to sue them for this and didn't get it done because it's too different. You know, I mean, it does play their games, but it's, you know, it's a good bit different than it. So it's just enough different that they couldn't sue them. But here's another thing that's cool that some people may not know. Okay, so you have the Atari. Obviously, anybody that knows the Atari knows this controller. This is the OG Atari controller, obviously. And then you had your paddles, right? You know, for different types of games. Well, Coleco Gemini, the Coleco company, when they made the Gemini, they went a step further with this, right? So what they did was, they said instead of making the joysticks and separate paddles, we're just going to put the joystick and the paddle on the same controller. So you only need one controller. Your button's over here, by the way. Your one button. But yeah, I think that was pretty damn cool. And if I'm not mistaken, you should be able to plug this into your Atari 2600, same plug, and make it work. So then, I don't know if you're still watching Lady Scooby-Doo. Your first console, you said, right, was the... I was wondering where... Your first console, you said, Lady Scooby-Doo, was the Genesis, correct? Well, here's a Sega Genesis controller. Check out the connection on the Sega Genesis controller. Identical. You can actually plug your Sega Genesis controller into your Atari 2600 or into a Coleco Gemini or a ColecoVision and use it. Obviously, only one button's going to work, and I'm pretty sure it's the B button because it's the very center button. But you would use the directional keys and the B button, and obviously none of the rest of them do anything because it only needs one button to work. So, yeah. But actually, the Sega Genesis controller works very well on the Atari 2600. I've used it plenty of times, and it works great, actually. Which is kind of funny. Okay, so then I'll show you a little step further here. Maybe not further, but a step. Another fun little fact here. Let me get all this stuff back in order over here. And I'll show you something else that's kind of funny. Alright. So now, I'm going to dig something else out here real quick. That might have you scratching your heads and be like, huh? That you may or may not have known about. Hopefully you didn't, so you can do exactly what I just said and be like, huh? But anyway. Okay, so this thing needs some cleaning up, I can tell you that much. I'm going to need to put the other controller in there, but just got both controllers here. But this is the ColecoVision, right? That I just dug out of there and it took me about 3 days to do it. But This is the ColecoVision, right? Well, what does the games look like for the ColecoVision? Yeah, you guessed it. They look like Atari 2600 games. But they are shaped different. And I'm pretty sure they don't work on each other. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I'm pretty sure that even if they would, it wouldn't plug in just because of the shape of the cartridge. A lot of people do, a lot of companies do that. But anyway, what ColecoVision did do later on is, as you can see right here, there's a, if you lift this up, there's a board under there, there's a connection right there for different expansions. They call it the expansion module interface. Fancy. Expansion module interface. Well, here's one of their expansion module interfaces that plugs right in the front of it. Just like that, to make it the size of a spaceship. Right? So I'll just show you that. Okay, so here's the module. Yeah, really, huh? Craziness, huh? And guess what it plays? You probably guessed it already. Atari 2600 games. Of course it does. So yeah. So I literally have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5. I literally have 5 consoles here that'll play Atari 2600 games. And only 3 of them are actual Atari 2600s. Yeah, it's nuts. I'm not even sure what all expansion bays they come out with. I'm pretty sure they came out with, I want to say at least three different modules. But I could be wrong about that. I know they come out with more than one, but I want to say they come out with three different modules. But I'm not sure exactly what those modules are. But anyway, I want to look at this here. Okay, so it's definitely official. Here's the Atari 2600 cartridge, and here's the ColecoVision cartridge. You can tell the ColecoVision cartridge, the connections are a little bit longer. Not as long as the Intellivision, but longer than the Atari 2600. So they will not plug in. But if you look, they're identical in size. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But like the ColecoVision, they're like, oh yeah, you can play your ColecoVision games, and you can play your Atari, and you can play your Atari 2600 games on a different module. I don't know how they didn't get in trouble for that. Maybe they maybe Atari somehow partnered with them on that, but I don't know how you couldn't get in trouble for that. Like in today's market, they would never fly. You know what I mean? If PlayStation decided, oh, we're gonna come out with this little disk drive that plugs into our PlayStation, you can play Xbox games on it, I'm pretty sure they're gonna get in trouble for it. But I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they will. So it's strange. They would never do that shit nowadays, but apparently back then, all they had to do was make it just a tiny bit different, and yeah, I mean, they still buy the games, so I mean, you still make money. And if you ask any game console developer, that's where they make their money at. consoles, or not the consoles, don't make as much money, but controllers and games is where they make their money at. But here's another little cool thing. You saw that, you know, the original Nintendo's back here, and then you saw the top loader NES. Well, here's obviously what a lot of people remember as being an NES controller, right? That's the OG NES controller. But when they went with the top loader NES, they went with what they called a dog bone controller, which is this controller. I don't know if some of you may not have seen this one here, but yeah, it's basically the exact same thing, but I mean, functionality wise, it's exactly the same. But of course, it looks quite a bit different. So yeah. And then obviously, if you haven't figured it out yet, that this dog bone controller was a pretty big inspiration for the Super Nintendo controller. Go figure, right? It did change it back. They did change it up a little bit from the bone controller, but yeah, they get a lot of inspiration for that one. But that bone controller, it's in excellent shape, and it's actually worth a good bit of money. It's actually probably worth more money than the original. Obviously, it's definitely worth more money than the original controller, which is funny. And even though the top loader NES is, I mean, it's the video quality of the top loader NES, where it's superior to the original OG NES as far as working and not having the flashing blue screen, as everybody remembers. It makes a lot better connection on the games, but the video quality was crap, just because it doesn't have the OG one had RCA outs and was crystal clear picture, whereas the top loader was just crap. Like it had that RF adapter thing, and yeah, but only the RF adapter on it. So yeah, but it's actually worth more because I guess it's rare. I don't know, but I paid $50 for this one. The other one I paid $175. So go figure. Kind of strange how that stuff works. It's not necessarily what's better, it's what's more rare, I guess. And I don't see a lot of top loader NESs. I mean, there's a lot of them out there, but most people that have an NES have the original NES because it's better, honestly. As far as picture quality, it's better. Performance, no, but picture quality, yes. So, and it's cheaper, you know, a third cheaper, you know. The top loader's 3 times more expensive, so why would you, unless you're a collector like me, obviously, but otherwise you would just buy the damn original. The throwback top loader. Oh yeah? Oh, you mean like a third party thing or something? Like a top loader for like an aftermarket top loader for the NES? Like a what do they call those? I can't remember now. Shit. Like a Retron? So let me just stuff over here. Retron, okay, yeah. I had one of those and ended up getting rid of it. I kind of wish I didn't, but I'm actually open to that kind of stuff. I mean, they do work pretty well. They do, however, have some compatibility issues as far as like some of the games. The one I had, like, I had one that was Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and Genesis. I think it was the Retron 3. Go figure, right? Just because there's 3 games, different games. but it wouldn't play any Sonic games for the Genesis, which is kind of weird. And I can't remember the other ones. I'm assuming that the Mario games wouldn't play, but I'm pretty sure the Mario games play on. Does his play like Super Nintendo as well? I think it does. I know we got some Super Nintendo games, and I'm assuming they play. Otherwise, I would have known about it. He'd have been like, "What the hell is not playing?" But some of them have compatibility issues. Some of them doesn't. Some of them don't. Just I think it's only with like their top selling. You know, I mean, they're like Sonic for Sega and Mario for Nintendo and, you know, stuff like that. But for the most part, they do play the stuff. But like some sort of hardcore retro fan guy, you know. I mean, I love retro stuff, don't get me wrong. And I would much rather play it on an original hardware console than I would one of those. But where that comes into play is if you have the consoles, especially if you have them in box, and you don't necessarily want to take them out all the time, you can have one of those consoles to like do streams and stuff like that. Like I said, there is some compatibility issues with some of them. I think they've gotten better over the years, though. But then a lot of the hardcore people are going to say, well, the coloration sometimes a little different, and the sound's a little off sometimes. But big deal, like, who cares? Like, you can still play the game. Like, it doesn't. That's not a deal breaker for me. You know what I mean? It's not really a. But one good thing about the reason I might get one of them back, like the. I think it was the Retron 3, but I'm not sure. Might have been the Retron 4, maybe. I can't remember which one I had. I think it was the 3, though. But it did the Genesis, Super Nintendo, and Nintendo. I'm not sure if they will work with the, let me think of it here. What the heck do they call them? I'm going to have to think on that for a minute. The EverDrives. I'm not sure if they'll work with the EverDrives, but if they will, that's the thing to get. Is an EverDrive. Like, those things are expensive. They're like over $100 a piece for each one of them. But they're well worth it. And I'll tell you why. Because, say you had one of them, I think it was, like I said, I think it was a Retron 3. Again, it had Genesis, Super Nintendo, and Nintendo, right? Over the course of time, you buy these EverDrives, which is what I want to do eventually. You get all three of them EverDrives for those, you can literally play every single title for each one of those consoles. Because you put a micro SD card in each one of them, and you can get ROMs for every single console. For every single, every single game for each one of them consoles. And you won't have to pull a cartridge out. You'll just have every game. And I think that's pretty neat. I mean, do I have a freaking modded Xbox that does that? Yeah, I do. But you're playing all the games on an Xbox controller. And with these, with the one I had, you could plug original OG controllers into it. Just like, and it feels just like playing, I know, a lot of retro gamers would hang me for saying it, but it feels just like you're playing an original. Is the color off a little bit? Sound off a little bit? Yeah. Compatibility issues sometimes? Yeah. But still, for the price of those things, I mean, go out and buy a Super Nintendo, Genesis, and Nintendo, and then go buy all those games. You know what I mean? You'll be in for a lot of money. Just the consoles alone. Like, they're not worth a lot, but they're worth a lot more together than what that Retron's going to cost you. So, I mean, they do hold some value to me, but to a lot of people, they just don't. They're like, oh, that's just garbage. I want original stuff, which you know, you can still buy original stuff. You know, you don't have to only buy the Retron, but a real gamer to me is somebody that's open to everything, not just oh, I'm a Nintendo guy, or oh, I'm a Sony guy, or oh, I'm a Xbox guy, and none of the other stuff matters. You know, Atari, there we go. There's a lot of other companies that came and went, but those are the big ones. You know, some people are like, yeah, I'm like, you're not a real gamer if you don't have an open mind about all games and all consoles, because all of them have something different to offer you. You know what I mean? You're not going to buy a Halo game for PlayStation. You're not going to buy a God of War game for the Xbox. You're just not going to do it. You know what I mean? So each one of the consoles has their own thing. You're not going to play Super Mario Brothers on a PlayStation or a, you know. Cujo, is that how you pronounce it? How's it going? Appreciate you stopping in. It just reminds me, I'm pretty sure it doesn't spell Cujo, but it just looks like it. Is that rabbit Saint Bernard? It's about the experience, and sometimes originals cost too much. It's not 100%, but next. Yeah, exactly. And they do have some value. I mean, a lot of them you can plug your original controllers into, and some of them you can't, but some of them you can plug your original controllers into, and some of them come with like wireless controllers and stuff. A lot of people tell me that they're garbage, but I don't think they're garbage. But you're comparing them to, you know what I mean? You can't like compare a third-party controller to an original original controller. You know what I mean? Because obviously it's going to be built better. And it charges more too. You know, but they do have their value. They are cool to play around with, and to have a console that plays multiple different cartridges across. You know, there's one that plays even Game Boy games, Game Boy Advance games and stuff. It's pretty awesome. But definitely would be awesome to have one of those too, because then you're talking about. I got the up here. I got the GameCube, and I have the Game Boy player for it, but I don't have the Game Boy player disc, which is what you need to play them, which is expensive as hell for some stupid reason. But but I got a Super Game Boy from a Super Nintendo that plays. It only plays original Game Boy games though. As far as I know, it only does. But I know it doesn't play Game Boy Advance games, obviously. But I'm pretty sure it only plays original Game Boy games, which is good enough, you know. But I don't really have any other ones. I mean, I do, but I don't have many. Most of my Game Boy games consist of original Game Boy games, so not Game Boy Color or Advanced. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people can't afford that kind of stuff, and if you can buy one console that does multiple stuff, then obviously that's. And it's all old hardware anyway. I don't think anybody gives a hill of beans on patents on that stuff anymore anyway. So it's kind of doesn't make any sense to not get one if you can afford it. Just try it out, you know. But yeah, that new Atari looks pretty cool. I saw it on YouTube. Saw it on YouTube. It looks pretty awesome. I guess the Atari VCS is VCS is already. They already stopped production on that, which kind of sad. It's kind of sad, but I kind of had a feeling. I didn't know they even had like I didn't realize they even had a production line of those, just because it was crowd funded. So I figured, since it was crowd funded, it was just going to act just like any other crowd funded thing, and only only come out with enough that the amount that was funded for. But they must have had a production line of them for a little while. Not like when we. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, I have all these consoles here that I don't really have to buy a Retron console. But number one, this is years of collecting stuff. Like, it's not, I didn't just go out and buy these today. You know what I mean? It's freaking years of stuff, over a long course of time, and not a couple years or a year, just buying all this stuff. I'm not that rich, that's for sure. But I still probably buy a Retron if I can get a hold of one, you know what I mean? If I can get a hold of the one that has, like, whatever the most consoles is. I don't know how many. I know it's at least up to 7, I think. I don't think it plays 7 consoles, but I don't know. I'll find out which one plays the most and go for that one probably. But did you see my new PS5 controller stuff? I'll show it to you if you. Mr. Mercury, how you doing? I appreciate you stopping in. Time joining. Have you heard about the conversation and what's your thoughts on? I actually haven't heard the conversation about. I mean, I saw that there was a Modern Warfare 3, but what conversation were you talking about? Like a bad review or something good, or what? Like, I haven't heard much about Modern Warfare 3. I thought about buying it here not too long ago, but I haven't bought it yet, so I'm not sure. I haven't played a Modern Warfare game in quite a while, actually, but not that I have. It's not that I don't like Modern Warfare games or have anything against them. I just haven't played. Just haven't got back into playing them. I've been thinking about it though, but I'm sure by the time I go to buy one, it'll probably be into the next game, because they come out with them quite often. But like the Assassin's Creed games and stuff like that, haven't kept up with them either. I tried to keep up with them, but I think there's like 3 or 4 out now that I don't have. But I appreciate you joining me for the first time. If you like retro stuff, this is the place to be. Also have a buddy called named Game Dungeon Productions on Twitch. Definitely want to check him out if you like retro stuff. He's got an amazing collection. But no, I haven't heard the conversation about, or controversy. Sorry, it like breaks it up, and it's hard for me sometimes to. Controversies. No, I haven't heard the controversy. Like somebody saying that they don't like, obviously, which is what controversy is. No, but I haven't heard anything. Like I said, I haven't heard much about. I heard about when they come out with Modern Warfare 2, people were saying, "Oh, why do they name it that? They already have a Modern Warfare 2." But I haven't heard anything about 3. I'm sure that there's plenty of people saying bad stuff about a lot of games, but that's another thing. A lot of people are saying, "Well, this game sucks," and you see reviews and stuff about, don't play this game because it sucks. You really can't go too much off of that. you kind of have to watch like gameplay and stuff and see if it's like what you like, because someone's opinion might not be the same as your opinion. You know what I mean? They might not like the same types of games you do, and they might give it a bad review, and you'll be like, oh, okay, well, that by the sound of it, this game sucks, so I'm not gonna play it. And then lo and behold, you go years later and try it, and be like, damn, I like this game. What are you talking about? You know, wish I would have played this game a long time ago. You know, so the best thing to do is check it out. Check it out and see what kind of a game it is, and you know how you control the stuff. You know, look up a control. You know how it shows the picture with controls, and see if it's a controller layout you like, and watch gameplay of it. Don't watch someone's reaction to, you know, review on it sometimes, because, like I said, there's a bunch of people that don't like certain games, and you might like them. So you can't always go by what other people say. You can't go by the controversies like he's saying about. You have to check it out for yourself sometimes, so you might miss out on a lot of stuff. Honestly, I can't remember exactly what games they were for me, but it's happened to me a couple times. People are criticizing a game for a horrible story. The campaign is reused. Oh, really? Yeah, I don't know. I can't really give my honest opinion on it, but I have heard of similar stuff like that happening. But see, they say it was a horrible story, but some people might not think it's horrible. You know what I mean? Like, some people might think it's good. Like, I don't particularly care for Call of Duty Ghost. I don't particularly care for that game. Because to me, it was like you're in a daze, kind of like when your character's running around. It was kind of, for me, it was kind of like, you know, the Harry Potter Prisoner of Azkaban of the Harry Potter series. You know what I mean? It was different. Doesn't mean it was bad. It just means it was different. And some people don't like different. You know what I mean? Some people like the same old song and dance, and they don't like it to be too different. You know what I mean? Like, say, for instance, like a wrestling game. They might love that game, but then the next game might be basically the same thing, but they change up the controller layout and completely screw you up. Now you don't like it anymore because you're used to this controller, you know, this controller layout, and now they're changing the controller layout. It doesn't mean it's bad, it just means it's different, and you gotta get used to it again, but initially you're gonna be like, this is shit. You know what I mean? But no, what are your opinions on it? Do you like Modern Warfare 3, or are you one of the people that, I'm assuming you're not one of the people that are criticizing it, but maybe you are. Are you one of the people that don't like it or does like it? Because, you know, again, a lot of people, that falls under the category of people, you know, people's opinions on stuff, and maybe it's true. Maybe they did use a lot of the stuff from prior games. I don't know, but, and as far as the campaign goes, you might hang me out to dry for this, but I have never played a Call of Duty campaign, ever. I've only ever bought a Call of Duty game for online co-op or online play, online matches and stuff. I'm not saying the campaigns are crap, I'm not saying that you shouldn't play. I'm just saying the campaigns were not for me. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, maybe they were for me. I don't know. Maybe I would like them. I just never played them. But I solely bought them just to play with my friends online, so I've never actually played a campaign on it at all. So I wouldn't know, I wouldn't know what the campaigns are like just because I never played any of them. But I mean, they're probably good, but I just never played them. I've heard people say different things about, oh, this campaign's good or this one's not good, but I just never played them. But yeah, I mean, I could see where some people might be coming from if they think that something's just kind of a rewash or just basically like another game, and charging full price again. I can kind of understand that. If you do ever play a campaign, I would highly recommend the original Modern Warfare 2. Okay, appreciate the information on that. But yeah, I've never played a campaign. It might sound funny, but I never. And the funny thing about that is because the funny thing that you don't know, and I'm about to tell you, is SOCOM. Do you remember SOCOM? When it first come out, there was no. I don't think there is a SOCOM campaign ever. Certainly not the first couple games, but I'm pretty sure none of them. Pretty sure no SOCOM game has a campaign. And when I heard that, I'm like, who just wants to play online? You know what I mean? Why is there no campaign? And once I got the Call of Duty games, that's all I did was play online. So I'm like, so now I'm looking back at the SOCOM, like, well, maybe they're not so bad after all. I like playing online. So, but then one thing you got to think of is, I'm pretty sure now though that all the Call of Duty, I've heard it pretty much, if not all the Call of Duty games, open servers again, so you can play Black Ops 1 or whatever. But the one thing I do like about Call of Duty games is the fact that they have a campaign. I do like the fact that they have a campaign, and the reason I say that is because what if you don't have PlayStation Plus? You can't play it, right? So if there's a campaign, you can at least play the campaign without having to worry about PlayStation Plus and playing online with people. So to me, that's a good thing, But I've just never played a campaign, which is kind of weird. But maybe I'll have to check out the original Modern Warfare 2 campaign. Maybe that'll be the first one I try, and I'll let you know when you jump on again, whether I liked it or not. But I'll have to. I think I might have the original Modern Warfare 2. I can't remember. What did the original Modern Warfare 2 come out for? PS3? I never got into playing games online, so I always stuck with the campaigns. Now you can't go wrong with the campaigns, though. I mean, it's a lot of people don't play online stuff just because it does get a bit hectic for sure, playing stuff online and dealing with all the people online and all that fun stuff. Pretty sure the one I'm looking for is in a metal case, but maybe I don't. For some reason I thought I might have Modern Warfare 2, but maybe not. Oh yeah, right here. I think another thing is if you've oh wait a minute, skipped one. It came out in 2009. Okay, right here. Modern Warfare 2, yep. I got the steel book for it. I think another thing is if you're playing a lot, there's probably some games that come out. Yeah, that's true. Sounds like an old song. Yeah, exactly. It could be like so similar that people were thinking, oh, well, this is the same song and dance, when it really isn't. It's just so much, just a lot like it. But yeah, here's Modern Warfare 2. Maybe I'll have to play the campaign on it. But yeah, I have the steel book for that. I thought I had it, but I wasn't sure. But there's the original Modern Warfare 2. But yeah, if I play campaign, I'll definitely check it out. But yeah, I know what you mean. It might not, and a lot of things might actually, you know what I mean, might be similar to other stuff, just because they might have been like, oh well, when we made this Call of Duty game, this functionality or this aspect of the game works, so why not reuse that aspect a similar way in another game? And then someone finds out, that's the same way they did this one, and just say it's the same game when it really isn't the same game. It's just very similar, I do kind of find it weird, though, that they come out with a Modern Warfare 2. It's kind of confusing, let's put it that way. That they come out with a new Modern Warfare 2, and that's the old Modern Warfare 2. I'm not saying that the new one's crap or anything, because I've never played it, so I don't have a definitive opinion on whether it's crap or whether it's good. And even if I did, someone else might think the opposite. But I do think it's kind of confusing that they come out with another one named Modern Warfare 2. That is kind of confusing. I will give you that. But other than that, I mean, it might be a great game, and I'm pretty sure it's not the same game. It's just the same name, which is, again, pretty confusing, but I did get this stuff. I don't know if you were seeing it in my last stream, but I did get this. This is a phenomenal game. For anybody that likes Mario games, I haven't played a lot of it yet, but I've played a few hours of it, and it's pretty awesome. I love it. But yeah, pretty awesome. Definitely hours of entertainment there. And obviously that only comes for the Switch, because that's the only relevant Nintendo console out right now. They pretty much discontinued the other stuff, which is sad. But I don't think 3DS even has games coming out with. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think 3DS even has games anymore coming out for it. But which is pretty sad. But I'm pretty sure the Switch is the only. They should be. There's talk about a Nintendo Switch 2, or at least a new Nintendo console, which they are due for one. The Switch has been out forever. Don't get me wrong, I love the Switch. I have one now and I love it. It's just, they're getting behind in the console wars here going on. They've been behind for a while, but I still love Nintendo. Like, I'm not a fanboy of any console, as you can see. I mean, I got Ataris, I got Nintendo, I got Sega, I got Xboxes, got PlayStations. A true gamer has an open mind about all games. You know what I mean? Am I going to play a Barbie game anytime soon? Probably not. But but it's probably fun to somebody. You know what I mean? As long as it's not freaking Superman for the N64, I'll be fine. Ugh. I've never played the game, but I've heard it's horrible. like even worse than E.T. for the Atari. Yeah, exactly. Like I did a video years and years ago about people asking me what console should I buy. As a matter of fact, one of them was Uncle Jim stuff about the new PlayStation and Xbox, and I said I'm, more of a PlayStation guy just because more of my friends have it, and there's more exclusive titles that I like for PlayStation. So I lean a little more towards PlayStation. That doesn't mean that that's the only brand of console I like. It just means that's the one I lean toward mostly when I'm, gaming. But but in that video anyway, I said that, a lot of people ask me, which console should I go with? Should I go with, Nintendo, Xbox, or PlayStation? And I'm like, I really can't. I described on, went on to say that I can't really make a definitive. No one can really make a definitive answer for you. It's your own preference. It's like, that it can be recommended, but no one can tell you that. You have to go and you have to look and see. Basically, what you have to do is look at the exclusive titles, because you can't go from the titles that, like, you can't say, okay, Assassin's Creed, because it's across multiple platforms, all three of the platforms, as a matter of fact. So you have to go with the exclusive titles and see which one has more exclusive titles that you like over the other one, basically. I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, before you jump off here, remember, anybody that's subscribed at 600 subscribers, I'm going to be doing a giveaway, so keep that in mind. But yeah, it's like, yeah, if Jeff, he used to play everything, and now he's strictly like strategy games. Yes, it's you get into different moods to play different types of games, you know what I mean? So you never really stick with the same thing for a long time. I mean, I've stuck with Conan Exiles for quite a while, but I mean, I'm playing a few other games as well, and obviously, when I get a chance, I'm playing retro stuff, obviously, and that's obviously a vast selection of stuff from past times, obviously, but you really can't. I mean, you can like recommend a console for somebody, but they might be getting something they don't want. You know what I mean? So they have to kind of do their own research on that stuff. And it's like, am I Halo kind of person, or am I a God of War kind of person, or am I a Legend of Zelda kind of person? Might be all three. I don't know. Never really been much of a Halo fan, but I'm not saying they're horrible. It's just not my thing, I did play the original Halo, which is pretty awesome, but I just never got into the other ones. So it's not too much. So it's not so much the brand console. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, you got to look at the exclusive titles. You can't look at, like I said, you can't look at like Call of Duty games or Assassin's Creed games or wrestling games, or because they span over all the consoles pretty much. So you got to look at the exclusive titles, and each console has exclusive titles, like obviously Halo and Gears of War, and I don't even think Gears of War, Halo and the first game. Hey, Arcade Pilot, how's it going? Appreciate you stopping in. The first games I played must. The Atari, yep, that was my first one as well. As you can see from my shirt. And here's one of my most anticipated games that I had that I went out to get. This isn't the original one I had, obviously, but also I forgot to show this. I forgot to show off this. Pretty awesome. I have all my favorite ones in here. Have all my favorite. As you can see, I have another. This one's actually in better shape, which is why it's in the case. Well, you got Pitfall, always a classic. Pole Position, Dig Dug, Jungle Hunt, and then my actual favorite, Adventure, and it's the good cover. This one's harder to find, a little more worth, a little bit more. And then yeah, you're seeing it right. Mario Brothers for the Atari. Pretty awesome. Took me a while to find this one as well. At a good price at least. And then of course you got Moon Patrol, always awesome. Cubert, always a pain in the ass, but I love it anyway. Hey, Christoph. What up, brother? Sorry, I forgot to send you. I mean, I did kind of send you a message, but I didn't tell you I was getting on. Appreciate you stopping in, brother, for sure. To be honest with you, when I started this, I was kind of contemplating on whether to do the stream because I'm like, not too many people were stopping in. Ain't nothing against anybody. If you can't stop in, that's cool. I mean, I understand that. I got kids and a wife and a life outside of this, and all of that stuff's more important than any of this crap in here. But it turned out being an awesome stream, and I appreciate it. Since there. Well, yeah, I mean that's true. I mean, there's a lot of homebrew games that, you know, are for other consoles for sure. Yeah, I mean they're putting. I've even seen Legend of Zelda for Dreamcast. I don't know how they do it, but I mean there's some smart people out there. I don't know how they do it without getting in trouble either. That's another thing entirely. But hey, I don't judge. People just trying to make a living, I guess. It might be crooked, but it's still someone trying to make a living. So I mean, if someone out there wants to buy it, I mean, whatever. I would like to get my hands on some. They're not home. Well, I mean, maybe they're homebrew. Still Blues. And with over 500 titles. Yeah, that's pretty good though. But there's a lot of consoles that have more than that stuff. That's actually pretty low as far as consoles go nowadays, but hell yeah, brother, for sure. But actually, yeah. I think Nintendo has over 750, something like that. How many original Nintendo games are there?
According to
Wikipedia,
no. There are 1395 officially licensed games released for the Nintendo Entertainment System and Family Computer during their lifespans.
1395.
681 were released exclusively in Japan, 186 were released exclusively in North America, and 20 were released exclusively in PAL countries.
Yeah. But yeah, there's... How many Genesis games are there? How many Sega Genesis titles were there? That's not really telling me. 1,800 or 1,018. Okay. Well, here's probably one. What is the... I can't remember which one I was going to look at. How many Game Boy games are there?
1046 games. According to Wikipedia, this is a sortable list of 1046 games released for the Game Boy handheld video game system.
That's a handheld.
Canceled
You know,
licensed games.
that's this little dude right here. You know what I mean? Oh, that screen looks atrocious. I know. It's just that plastic film on it that I refuse to take off until it falls off because it's new. I don't know. It's a addiction. It's a... But yeah, it's... So yeah, it's crazy. You've always been... So I really had no clue. Virtual Boy is like 10. Actually, Virtual Boy's 22, I believe. Let me look. How many Virtual Boy games are there?
22.
Yeah, 22.
Listed here are all 22 officially released Virtual Boy games.
So a little more than you might have thought, but still 22 games. Yeah. I wonder of games that are unknown might be really... Yeah, you're right. You're right. Exactly. I can't remember. Let me look at something. I think the one I have is... I don't want to drop the stuff. I don't care about that. Knock the dust off of it. Ugh. But yeah, here's the 22. Okay. LB. Actually, that won't be an easy collection because they're expensive as hell. But, I mean, as far as finding them all, probably, yeah. Yeah, like under... I think I have Mario Tennis. Yeah. That's the only Virtual Boy game I have is Mario Tennis, which is actually kind of fun. What's stupid is though is it goes in with the label in. It makes no sense. What was the store at the mall called? What was the store at the mall called? Back to the... I think there was a Back to the Retro, yeah. I'm pretty sure that's where I actually got the idea for Back to the Retro for my streams, to be honest. I think it was called Back to the Retro. One of those were. I have another one to look up, actually. I'm pretty sure there wasn't... for this guy right here, I'm pretty sure there wasn't too many games for this. Yeah, game collections that are small can be expensive. So. Yeah, that's for sure. Like, there's only 22 Virtual Boy games, but look at the price for some of them, and it'll blow your damn mind. Just like games for the TurboGrafx 16 are crazy. Let's see. How many games were released that work with the Nintendo Power Glove?
2 games. According to
2 games.
2 games were released with specific features for use with the Power Glove. Super
Two
Glove Ball,
games.
a faux 3D puzzle maze game, and Bad Street Brawler, a beat 'em up. Both games are playable with the standard NES controller, but include moves that can only be used with the glove.
Yeah, 2 games. I think the one I have is Super Powerball. And I don't know what the other one is, but yeah, that's... You can use it for Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, I think. But it sucks. Like, the glove sucks. Like, as far as fully works, but it works like crap because that's the way they're supposed to work, I guess, apparently. But, one thing I definitely want to get for the Nintendo is Rob the Robot. He is so expensive. And I'll probably never own him, but maybe I will. One of these days I might find one. I don't even care if it works. I just want the robot. I don't even care if it comes with everything. I just want Rob the Robot, you know what I mean? For displaying. But 2 games, dude. Just 2. They come out with that expensive idea of that Power Glove. And I mean, it works with other stuff. Like, it has a controller on it. So you can actually control other games with it. Mario or whatever you want. But as far as using the specific... I don't know why I was doing left, because it's a right glove. But anyway, as far as actual controls specifically for that, 2 games. Crazy. And by the way, if you're left-handed, you're screwed. Sorry about your luck. If you're left-handed. Because it's only for the right... I mean, you could probably put it on your right hand and just your thumb would stick out of the other side and look kind of funny, but you could do it. But yeah. That's probably the smallest thing there was. There's 2. I never seen any. I'm pretty sure that tops all of them. That there's only 2 actual games for that. I'm wondering about the 32X. I bet there's more than I think, but the Power Glove looks. Yeah, I don't even know what all the buttons are to begin with. To be honest with you, I don't even know what all the buttons are actually for. I'm taking another look at that. I've never actually played... I mean, I played Super Power Glove because I have Super Power Glove, but... Super Power Ball, excuse me. Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it does have quite a few buttons on it. If this thing would focus well enough, but as you can see, it has... Like, this is basically the controller. I mean, you could literally plug it in and use it like a controller and play your games. But who's going to do that when you can just play the game with a controller, you know? But it'd be a really expensive way to play with a controller. But I mean, yeah, you could put it on your left hand, but then it would just look like that. Not a big deal, but they're just betting on everybody being right-handed, which is kind of stupid, but yeah, there's so many different buttons on here. They got 0 through 9, so you can make phone calls with it. I don't know what that's all about, but there's a bunch of stuff. And then the 3 and the 8 are up and down buttons as well. They have like separate functionality buttons. You probably have to hit one of these buttons, like the center button, and then one of these buttons, and it does the corresponding, kind of like a keyboard on a computer. Hit function key and then hit a button and it does something different. But yeah, I've only played Super Powerball for it. See if I can find Super Powerball. Show you what the game looks like. Yeah. It's around here somewhere. Oh, right there, Super Powerball. Here's the one of the game. Here's one of the games. By the way, I got all the cases labeled now, as you probably saw in the previous video. But here's one of the games for the Power Glove, Super Powerball. Yeah. I gotta look that up too to see how many 32X games actually came out. But yeah, as you can see, I got a box 32X right here, which is pretty awesome. Got it for absolutely free of charge, which is crazy. I don't know how many people know that story, but Stephanie knows that story. She's my sister. There's probably more than I think, but I'm going to check here. How many Sega 32X games are there?
According to Wikipedia, Game Library.
40.
The 32X library consists of 40 games.
40 games.
6 that required both the 32X and Sega CD.
Which is, you know, decent, but still only 40. And some of them require both the 32X and the Sega CD. Which I have, but yeah, 40 games is nothing. I mean, I have a few of them. I have a few 32X games. I have NFL Quarterback Club, Primal Rage, Mortal Kombat 2, WWE Raw, Star Wars Arcade, and Doom. So I have a few 32X games. But and I did have cases for I did have a case for the Star Wars one, but I give it to my buddy. I think Doom one too. Even 2 models. Is that even 2 models of Sega Genesis were released? There's actually 3 models. Yeah, there's 3 models. Yeah, here, this is the third model right here. The second model is obviously, well, the second model is the one that's on my 64, or yeah, the one that's on my Sega CD, but I also have it in one in box up here, and then the first generation's right here, the old fatty big model, and then this is the third. There's actually a fourth, technically, Arcade Pilot. There's actually a fourth, and it's actually licensed by Sega. It's the little tiny thing, and it actually plays the cartridges too. But they don't really count that one. But there is sort of a fourth model that has a cartridge slot, but yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you caught me on too. I love you. I'll have a good day at work tomorrow. Appreciate you stopping in for sure. I have Model 2 gave me some problems. Yeah, they do that sometimes. I don't know why, but my second model Super Nintendo, the junior model, it's not really called that, it's just called the Super Nintendo. If you look, it's just called Super Nintendo, but people give them their own names. Sometimes this one has a little bit of a problem. If it gets bumped while it's playing, it'll glitch or stop sometimes. So you gotta really watch that. Some of them are. What's that? The Super Nintendo or the Genesis? It looked like Super NES. Yeah, that's the little model. The original one's, of course, that one in the box up there, but this is the little model. Nothing fancy. Doesn't have the eject for the cartridge, which a lot of people didn't even use or even know about on that one. It looks like the newer Genesis would be the best, but the Model 3 Genesis was a very basic. Yeah, it was very basic for sure. But yeah, they come out with that one up. Like I said, a lot of people call that the Super Nintendo Junior or something like that, but it's not really called that. Just like a lot of people call that the Darth Vader Atari. It's not really a Darth Vader Atari. It's just all black, so that's why they call it that. But as opposed to the wood grain of this one right here. That's the wood grain 4 switch, and then down there's the wood grain 6 switch. But then they went with the black one. Well, I think they had both of those, and then they went with the black model, or the black model might have came out between the two. I think the black model was a 4 switch. Yeah, the black model is a 4 switch, so it probably went the 4 switch Woody, then the black switch. The black 4 switch, and then the 6 switch Woody. But yeah, it's Arcade Pilot. What consoles do you have? Do you have like multiple different consoles? I'm assuming you probably do, but face green. But there's a lot of unique consoles for sure. A lot of like this Panasonic 3DO. Do you know the unique thing about that, Chris Tuff, or Arcade Pilot? There's a unique feature on that I haven't seen since. Probably because it was crap, but more than likely. But still, it's still unique. You know what I mean? To everything, so awesome. Hell yeah. Nothing wrong with that's for sure. But I was saying the Panasonic 3DO, that thing is so slow. Like, it's a CD based console, but it's really slow. Like, it's one of the first ones. I just have 2 models of Genesis. Oh, okay. One of these days I'll get the new Xbox. I'm thinking about it, but the new Xbox, the Series X. That's another thing. They make things more complicated than they need to, too. I'm not knocking Xbox. I love Xbox. But didn't the 3DO play like Philips CDI games? I'm not sure. I'll show you a game for it. I've got a couple games for that. 3, I think. Yeah, this is just your basic. This is just your basic case one, 3DO, real pinball. Just a basic pinball. That's just your basic, like, regular CD case. But then they come out with these big damn boxes, which are pretty cool. I got John Madden football. And then the coolest one I have, I think, is the Incredible Machine for the 3DO. And the 3DO works, it's awesome. It works fully, but it's just so slow. Yeah, they are. They're pretty awesome. I'll show you. Open up one here. Missed those PlayStation. Yeah, those PlayStation 1 boxes were awesome. I have some PlayStation 1s, but I just have the small boxes. But yeah, it opens up. Flip this tab. Then you open it up. And you got, I think this is a poster. And then there's a couple posters in here. This is like a plays poster thing. Then you have your manual, like a black and white. Alright, and then some sort of sales thing. There's a bunch of stuff in here. And then there's a couple more kind of just sales things. Not sure why it has so many of them exactly, but it had a couple more sales things. I'm not sure why it has so many of those things in there. This actually pushed in so you can put more in there, but then you have your game there, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, quite a bit of stuff in this case. Yeah, it is. It's pretty good condition. Got this off a buddy of mine, but a while ago. I asked him if he had any sort of unique consoles or something. He said, I got a Panasonic 3DO. Have you ever had one of those? Like, nope. So I'm pretty sure it still works. Got a few games for it. There's a lot of stuff in this package. It just closes up. And they also had these sleeves, which are awesome. These aren't original, obviously. These are just like sleeves to keep them good, you know what I mean? Keep them in a good condition. Keep them closed up and keep the dust off of them. I'll open this other one up for you as well. This one's actually pretty neat. Again, it's really slow and not really practical. I'll show you the back picture. Well, I'll show you that in a minute because it's got glare on it now. I'll show you once I take it out of the package, out of this case, so you don't have as much glare. But this was a really cool idea. I'm not sure if there's any other consoles that have something similar or have this game at all, but I'd be interested to see one that doesn't go so, you know, because this obviously it's slow, it loads slow. But it's kind of like almost like best way I can describe it is like a mouse trap. You know what I mean? Where like where you make something, you build something that has like a chain reaction, and you know what I mean, it does a certain functionality at the end, like pop your toast up or flip your eggs or, you know, some crazy thing. But yeah, and if you notice, it even has you probably can't see it, but it has a 3DO logo actually engraved into the plastic there, which is pretty neat. But yeah, I think this is going to be the same. See, this one doesn't have as much stuff in it, but this one has the manual, and it's in full color. It's a full color manual, which is pretty badass. Then you got your game in there, obviously. You got a little bit of stuff here too as well. But yeah, these are really super awesome. I'd love to get more games for this, but they're probably expensive. But I'm sure the Madden probably isn't, but that's probably one of the common games, you know what I mean? Maybe this one is too, I don't know. And I'm sure the pinball's nothing special because it's in a regular size case. Anyway, let me throw these back up there. and I'll be right back. But yeah, there's a lot of unique consoles. Did I show you the unique feature, Chris Tuff with the controller of the 3DO? Do you know about that? Because if not, you're going to be amazed on that as well. Pretty neat. So let me know if you've seen it already. If you haven't, I'll show you. What's that? The controller thing? You talking about the controllers thing, Chris Tuff? Let me pull this. Okay, so I'll show you the controller here first off. Basically, kind of looks like a 3-button Sega Genesis controller. Basically, is what it looks like. It even has the same basic controller port interface. It has a headphone jack and volume control at the bottom, which is pretty cool. It's kind of unique. I've never seen that on an older console controller before. Could be wrong. There might be one down the road that has one, but I gotta show you the console. Show you the kind of so you kind of get a feel for it. Okay, so here's the front of the console, right? So as you'll notice, the front of the console, it only has one controller port, right? So what happens if you want to play 2-player or 3-player? I'm not sure if there's a 3. I mean, I'm sure the Madden game you can play, 3 or 4-player. How would you go about doing that since it only has one controller port? You know what I'm saying? So if you look at the top of the controller here, where it's got these shoulder buttons, but as you see this, and I'm not going to pull this one off, but as you can see, there's a cap right here. I'll show you on the other controller because it doesn't have the cap. As you can see behind that cap, there's a controller port. So what you would do is you'd plug this one in to your console, and then boom, plug this controller into that controller. And now you have 2 players. And I'm assuming 3 or 4-player, you just keep connecting. So, as you can see on the back here, I don't know if you can see it or not. It says expansion. So yeah, extension. It says extension on the back there. And you just plug your second controller into the first controller. And then it's controller port 2. Controller 2. I'm like, that's kind of crappy, but kind of unique, in its own way. So, thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, it's kind of neat. I mean, is it practical for nowadays? Obviously not, because we're all wireless controllers now, but and even in its time, they were probably like, why? Why not just put 4 controller ports on the front and be done with it? You know what I mean? Even the Atari has 2 controller ports on the front of it. Or the back of it, depending on what the back of it, I guess you would say, but yeah, that's true. You got it right there. Just unplug it just enough that it won't do anything. You know what I mean? They don't even have to unplug it all the way, but but yeah, And all they do is just pop it out just over so slightly, and it'll still be there. And the other guy would look over, why is my controller not working? And look over, and what's still plugged in? What the hell's going on? But it just pulled out just enough that it won't make contact. Yeah, I could see that for sure. Especially an older brother doing it to a younger sister, possibly. But yeah, it just, I saw that and I'm like, that's crazy. Actually, I think my first reaction was that's stupid, but it's not stupid. It's just, you know, it's impractical, I guess. But let's see. Yeah. I mean, they were looking for different ways to do things and stuff, and kind of change it up a little bit. Crash and burn, hell yeah. Yeah, I'd like to get some more games for it. That'd be one I'd like to get for sure. No, never. The cool thing about that, Chris Tuff, though, is, well, all of you, but you were saying about affording it and stuff. The games, the cool thing about it is there's no copyright protection. There's no copyright protection. I've never tried it, but apparently there's no copyright protection on any of those games. So what that means is you can basically find like an ISO file. I don't think it's an ISO file, but like the equivalent of an ISO file. An ISO file is like PSP, and multiple other consoles, I assume, but the first one I think of is PSP has an ISO file. But you find like an ISO file basically, and you just basically place it onto a disc, like a Sega CD, like a CD disc, or I'm thinking it's CD because I don't think DVDs were around yet, so it has to be a CD based console. You know what I mean? Not DVD based, and you just basically burn it onto that CD, and it'll work, and the game will work. I haven't tried it yet, but yeah, apparently there's no copyright, like there's no legal, like you're not going to get in trouble for making copies of games with that console. So people just, you don't have to put it on there. Apparently you don't have to put it on there a specific way or anything. You just put that file onto a disc and it'll work. Oh, were they? Okay. Well, yeah, PlayStation, PSP is PlayStation technically, so probably that makes sense. But yeah, they used to do that with the PlayStation 1 a lot. But the PlayStation 1 made it a little more difficult, but it could still be done easily. You had to burn it on a certain way, but you could do it. I don't think you could do it legally, but apparently the 3DO you can do it legally. They don't give a crap about it. But as me as an actual gamer, gamers are gamers, but I'm just saying, as me as like a collector, I should say, more of a collector standpoint, I'm not gonna burn a bunch of games. For I don't know how many. Let's see how many games are for the 3DO. Let people everybody in here that's in here make a guess. How many games do you think are for the 3DO? I don't know personally myself, but I'm gonna Google it here. How many do you think there are? Just guessing. Don't Google it. Just guess, and see who's closest. But for me, it would be like, okay, I'll find one of the cool games, like Crash and Burn, for instance. Even though I'll probably buy that, the original copy of it because I'm a collector. But I might do a couple games just to see if they work, or just one game to see if it works. But I'm not a person that's going to be, okay, let's just do the whole title, the whole collection, boom, 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 and then have a bunch of, nah. That's just not me, you know what I mean? But I would like to do one, just see if it works. I'd say 35. Okay. Well, I'm not going to do it out loud. Well, I'll turn the volume down so it doesn't say it out. Well, no, it'll still say it out loud. But let me Google it here, and while people are making, anybody who wants to make a guess can make a guess. Okay. Okay, so far we got 35. 800, holy crap, I don't think there's that many of them, but I'd say it's in the hundreds though, probably. A couple hundred probably at least. How many? Crash and Burn is the cool racing game, and Way of the Warrior. Okay. Okay, so 200. 200's the answer. Even though you might not be able to read it. There we go. You can kind of read it. What number of... Oh, sorry. The number of 3DO games. This picture's actually showing the... I don't know if you'll be able to see it on... I don't know if you'll be able to see it off my phone very well, but I don't know how many of you have actually seen the second version. There's a second version of the 3DO too. It's a smaller model. Let's see if the other one... This one might show up a little better. That's the second model of the 3DO. I got the old model, original model. Looks kind of like a super N64 with those rounded front corners. Pretty funny. But yeah, it's a pretty cool console. I mean, it's not bad, but then you got this. Then you got this TurboGrafx 16. We'll do another one. Here we go. Let's do another one. 3DO was from the 90s. Yeah, must. 200. Yeah, there's 200 games. That surprised me. I didn't think it was that many, but I kind of figured maybe a couple hundred, but that was just a guess for me as well. Oh, 3DS. Okay. Well, let's test the 3DS games. You said 800. Let's see how many 3DS games there are. There's certainly more of those than there were 3DO games. I guarantee you that. How many 3DS games are there? What's the total amount of 3DS games?
Here's some information for how many 3DS games are there. According to Video Games Chronicle, according to Nintendo's eShop data, there are around 1,333 DS digital titles available to buy in Japan, around 1,070 in Europe, and around 1,100 in North America. This includes virtual console titles and retail titles with digital versions.
You know, Sewer Shark for Sega CD. Oh yeah, I love Sewer Shark. I need to get that again. Came out for 3DO. Really? Came out for 3DO too? Really? I have to get that for 3DO then. Appreciate the information there, brother. Must be a lot. Yeah, there's like 1,330. Okay, thank you, sir. Or I'll be here, sir, for a little while longer. Okay, so now let's do the next console. We got the TurboGrafx 16. This is an expensive console as well. As this console sits right now, without the game, of course, I could probably get about $200 for it. As it sits right now, it's actually missing though a piece right here that snaps over the top of it. That's about $100, and it plugs into that crazy ass port right there, and gives you RCA cables. I'm thinking about getting the aftermarket thing that just snaps just over this. It's green and it just snaps right over this, and it's like $20-$30. Maybe 200 released games for TurboGrafx 200 games. We'll see. See how close you are. Anybody else have a guess? How many TurboGrafx 16 games are there? Okay, so both of you are saying about 200. Okay, that's probably about correct. But here's the games. Here's what a game looked like. It looked like a credit card size. It's weird. Got all your connections up there. Keith Courage. This is like the most common game. This is like a $10 game, $12 game. All the rest of them are like 60, 70, 80 and up. I mean, they're nuts. But it just slides in. Just slides in. And it's got a sort of like a Game Boy kind of function, whereas when you put the power on, it puts a little tab there so the game cannot be pulled back out. At least not up and out enough to do anything. Okay, so let's do this. So both Chris Tuff and Arcade Pilot are saying 200. Do you have a guess, Steph, if you're still here? How many TurboGrafx 16 games do you think there are? $140. Okay. How many TurboGrafx 16 games were released?
According to Wikipedia, library, a total of 686 commercial games were released for the TurboGrafx 16.
I would have never guessed that many in a million years. I would have never guessed that in a million years. Okay, so what's this saying now? That breaks down. Okay, so there's a bunch of there's other stuff. What games? Okay, so what there is to remember about this is there's a TurboGrafx 16, but then there's another one called the PC Engine, which is basically the same thing. So I think they're going off of both of those combined, essentially. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't. Let's see. Okay. Put that back. Okay, so let's do one more, shall we? Let's do the Atari 2600. Can we do that? How many games do you think are out for the Atari 2600? We'll do one more. Before I jump off here? How many games do you think were released for Atari 2600? I got a message here. Sorry. Let me check this message real quick while you guys are pondering your answer to that. I guess we already did that, didn't we? We did do Atari 2600. Okay, let me see. Let's do the PlayStation 1. Let's do the PlayStation 1. I'm pretty sure that's a lot of titles. I'm pretty sure that's probably one of the consoles that you're going to see the most releases for, if I'm not mistaken. So, if anybody wants to guess on this last one, PlayStation 1, how many games? Okay. $9,000? Okay. You're probably maybe a little high on that, but it's probably 8,000. No, I don't know. It's probably pretty close to 8,000, I'd say. That's going to be my guess. Pretty close to 8,000 at least. I'll go in between your guys and say 8,000, or at least close to 8,000. It's probably 7,000 something, but I'm saying it's probably close to 8,000. Believe it or not. So let's see what. Do you want to make a guess, Arcade Pilot, if you're still here? I think Arcade Pilot might have stepped out for a minute, didn't he? Okay, we'll go ahead and do it. I'll go ahead and I'll say it out loud. That way it'll say it out. You know what I mean? It'll say it out loud. How many games were released for the PlayStation 1?
According to Wikipedia, a total of 3,061 PlayStation games were released, with cumulative sales of 967 million units. The PlayStation signaled Sony's rise to power in the video game industry.
That makes no sense. It says PlayStation games. Hold on. How many PS1 games are there?
7,918 PlayStation games. According to Wikipedia, 7,918 PlayStation games were released worldwide. The final licensed PlayStation game released in Japan was Black Matrix 00
that sounds
on May
more
13,
like it.
2004. Counting re-releases, the final licensed game released in Japan was Strider Harayu on October 24, 2006.
Okay, so 7,918 is the actual answer to that. So almost 8,000. That's crazy. I knew it was more than 3,000 something. I don't know where it came up with that number, but it said PlayStation. Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? To think of that, how many titles there were for that. I have to do some more of those. Like maybe next time I'll do NES or Sega. I'll do like Dreamcast or Saturn or Sega CD, or I have to remember that because that's kind of a fun little game there. I'll have to go back and see which one, remember which ones I've done. Maybe I'll write them down here after I jump off, of the ones we actually did. But yeah, I'll probably go ahead and jump off here pretty soon. But has anybody got anything else any other topic they'd like to let's see. What the heck did we do? We did we did 3DS. We did 3DO. We did PS1. Do you remember which other ones we did? We did Virtual Boy. What else did we do? Atari 2600, okay. We did Atari 2600. Yeah, 3DO. Oh, we did already wrote that down, 3DO. We did TurboGrafx 16. Power Glove. Okay. Just trying to write, just wrote the ones down that we did, that way I don't repeat any. Yeah. That was kind of like a flop. It was a big flop. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of people that don't know a whole lot about the Power Glove that bought the Power Glove later on and hooked it all up and like, oh, mine doesn't work. You know what I mean? Because it's so chintzy. You know what I mean? And like, for, because what I'm saying is mine works, fully works, but even a fully working one works like crap, because that's just the way they worked. You know what I mean? To be fair, though, with the Power Glove, you can't compare it to like a Wii controller or a motion sensitive controller nowadays, just because it just can't compare. Like, it's stupid to compare that. You know what I mean? It just you just can't do that, because the technology they had back then versus the technology they have now, there's no comparison, and there never will be, So, but even for its time, it was crap, It could never compete with, say, this controller, this Wii controller, which is really awesome. And they didn't make many games for this either, to be honest with you. I think there's only like 3 or 4 games that this actually works for. What the heck is it? I got one of the games that this works for. Firewall. There's Firewall is what this one actually came with. Yeah, Duck Hunt for sure. There's not too many games for that either. For that Zapper Gun, Duck Hunt, Clay Fighters, and Hogan's Alley. I think of the only three. I could be wrong about that, but I think they're the only three games that worked for. There might have been a fourth or a few more that I'm thinking of, but that's the three I think of. And Duck Hunt and Clay Fighters were on the same the Clay Pigeons thing were on the same Clay Fighters, not Clay Fighters, Clay Pigeons. They were on the same cartridge, but and then Hogan's Alley was the only other one I could think of. And then you got Rob the Robot. I'm pretty sure Rob the Robot only had one game, and it was Gyromite, I believe. It was the only game that it worked for. But I still want it. I still want Rob the Robot. Damn it! Just the robot. Like I said, I'm just gonna get the robot. I don't care if it has any of the pieces with it, but I just want the robot to display. You know what I mean? Because I'll never play it. It just nostalgia. You know what I mean? To say, hey, I got to rob the robot. And you see them in the freaking cartridges galore all the time, holding the cards, but they're never for sale. Clay Fighters was Celebrity Deathmatch. Clay Fighters was, well, yeah, I mean they were Clay Fighters, but Clay Fighters was the Super Nintendo or N64, I think, too. But yeah, they were the Celebrity Deathmatch were Clay Fighters for sure. We're made of clay. When you get a chance, look at the Killzone 3 movie Sharpshooter. Oh, there's gonna be a Killzone. Okay, I'll have to check it out. I'm drooling. Hell yeah. I'll definitely check that out. But yeah, I'll go to 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Or yeah, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. 2 hours and 30 minutes here, and I'll jump off. Give it a nice little round number here. But appreciate everybody stopping out for sure. Appreciate anybody that watches this stream later on. You made it this time, Chris. I know you get a little upset sometimes when you're not able to jump into my live streams, but it's all good, brother. I know you can't jump. I know you have much more important things to do, a lot of times, and some things you might not want to do sometimes, and might get a little daunting for you doing them, but they're still more important than jumping into my stream and watching me run my mouth, you know what I mean? But I know you enjoy jumping in when you can, and I know you get upset when you can't sometimes, but it's all good. I understand completely. I mean, nobody can jump into all of them, you know what I'm saying? I do miss out. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, the things we have to miss out on sometimes to do important things, you know what I mean? But it sucks, I know. I just fall asleep thinking. Yeah, I understand that too. I mean, that's. But then again, but again, trying to get Rosie to sleep is more important than watching my stream. It just is. I mean, I know you like doing it, but it's not as important as daily routines and stuff you have to get done, and but it's probably more fun than those things. But hopefully, at least I'm hoping anyway. But it's not as important. You know what I mean? It's just. But anyway, getting a little tired here. Getting to 2 hours and 30 minutes. Yeah, I try. I do. I really do try. But I definitely need to get the whole retro games back up again. How many streamers? Yeah, I mean there used to be quite a few people to come on and play retro games and stuff. But yeah, there's just not that many anymore. There's more than you might think, but every once in a while I'll see some people on, like random people, and sometimes people that I am subscribed to on YouTube and Twitch as well. But there's not a lot of them, and I wish there were more. It sucks. It really does, because it's a lost art. I mean, the fact that the retro games coming back is awesome. Like, they're kind of the retro kind of feel is coming back. It's getting more popular and kind of making a comeback. But as far as the people actually streaming the stuff, even me myself, I just don't find the time to do those streams sometimes, and end up just randomly talking like I am this time, and like I have a bunch of times. And I do need to get back into doing the actual retro streams myself. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably find a different device and actually do it on the bigger flat screen TV, so there's absolutely no glare, and you know what I mean, you just got a better picture overall. And I don't normally play it like that, but for the stream I might do that just so you can see it better, and might draw more people in. Who knows? I'm not sure. Or I'll get a capture card and just do it that way, and it'll be even better. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, a lot of pre-recorded stuff for sure. Yeah, I mean, I try to change it up here and there, but I do need to do more actual game stuff. Um, but we'll see how it goes. I definitely want to do some more of that and kind of make it a little bit better. It'll make it a lot better if I can do it through, do it with another TV that actually doesn't have a lot of glare and stuff. But we'll see. I have to get something set up to do them better in the future, and just to do them in general, So my next one that I do, however long that is, probably will still be with the CRT television, until I figure out a better way to do it. But who knows? I might figure it out sooner than I think. But I have to put my 3 brain cells I had together and think of something. But but anyway, not in the least tired of talking to you guys, but I'm getting a little tired. But I appreciate you coming out. Appreciate anybody that watches the channel after it's been uploaded, although I doubt too many people are going to do that since it's almost 3 hours long. But don't forget to check out all of the links in the description below once this video has been uploaded. And don't forget, 600 subscribers, going to be doing another giveaway. Last time I checked, it was like 574 or something like that. So, still got a little ways to go, but not a crazy amount to go. Yeah, you have a good night too, brother. You have a good night, Steph. Hopefully, Rosie goes back to bed for you and you get some shut-eye. But thanks, everybody, and until next time, I'll meet you right back here in the Oasis.